Right, who's ready to see this engine running? It's been long awaited and I can't wait to show you guys the result of all of our hard work. So let's get right into it. It's about to go. It's about to go. Mine. Holy shizer.
Something misfired.
That was a big misfire, that was. Guys, a quick update on the E23. As you can see, it's piecing together really nicely. We have put a battery in, we put coolant pipes on, we put the fan on. We have put things like the distributor cap on with all the leads, the coil pack. We just got to mount a few things in a few places. We have also put the air mass flow things in, the intake stuff, boots. The throttle body is currently the incorrect one because there's no connection for this. However, I found a 3-pin connector here and I'm going to put this throttle body on, so hopefully that helps. Also, the idle control valve was missing, so we've added that in. And that's probably the reason why it's firing up for a few seconds and not staying on. So once we get those bits in, we're going to test it and fingers crossed this car stays on. Once we've done all of that and once we know it's running, we are then going to sort out the cooling system. I'm going to flush the radiator so that it's fresh in there. We've got some fresh coolant in there. And then I'm also going to be putting gearbox fluid into the gearbox because all of that fluid fell out when we took the engine out. So we're getting close, guys. We are getting really close to this car being running. So I'm going to carry on. I'm going to change these few bits, the throttle body and the idle control valve, connect it all up. And hopefully this thing fires up, fingers crossed. And it will be ready for the 7Event at the end of this week when we're recording this video. So that is on the 8th of June. So before, as you saw, it was starting up, staying on for a few seconds, but not running. Hopefully now it stays on now that we got the ICV connected. And we've got, and also we've got the other throttle body mounted up as well. Come on, come on. Okay, so let's see, Rush. Hopefully this fires up, man. Okay, big moment, guys. Big moment. I'm using brake cleaner to run it at the minute because I think the injectors are the issue, so it's fuel related. So check this out. Oh my days, he's running! We got a running car, guys. What the hell? What the hell? So guys, a bit of a status update. We're at the stage where the car turns over and starts for a couple of seconds. Guess who's just turned up? Making a bit of a racket, that car, isn't it? Check that out, Avis Blue and Avis Blue. E34 and E38. So yeah, status update on the E23. The car starts for a few seconds and then doesn't run. We've checked loads of different bits and pieces. We've checked that there's fuel there. We've checked that there's spark there by checking the coil packs and the coil leads. But unfortunately, it still doesn't start up and run continuously. So previously there was a throttle body that was the incorrect one, so we've put the correct one that came from this car originally, and that's where this 3-pin connected to. We've also fixed the air leak, so just a temporary fix for now, just to block up the air. And then we have also, what did we do next to get it to potentially run? Oh yeah, we thought that it's the air mass flow sensor. So we changed it for a B35 because this is a B35 that we've put in, or B34, sorry. We've changed it for a B34 air mass flow, and unfortunately it didn't run on that. So we've left the B32 one, which originally came from this car, and that runs. So the next thing that we checked, what we realized is that the injectors that came on this engine, on this manifold, are for a B34. Now, the management on this car is obviously B32, so we changed the injectors from B34 to B32, which came from the old engine, and hey presto, and there we go, guys. The car is finally running under its own steam. What a massive achievement for us. And now it's a mad scramble to get this car buttoned up, get the coolant in, get any other fluids in, like the gearbox fluid, and run this car so that we can start doing some tests, some road tests to make sure that it is running good so that we can take it to the 7Event. So we have started the car so that we can start to run it up to temperature. We have put fresh coolant into the system so that it can start circulating around the engine and start running its way around the cooling system. The idea here is to get it up to temperature slowly while we're monitoring it. Obviously, it's just being run after a full rebuild, so we are taking precautions and keeping a close eye on the engine, listening out for anything, and also a close eye on the temperature as well. Like I said, the idea here is to bleed the cooling system up so that we can get it to a good state. As you can see, there is a lot of smoke coming out of the engine. Now, the reason for this is because there is grease on a lot of areas of the engine from when we put the engine on, but also a lot of assembly grease from when the top end was rebuilt. So basically this, as the engine starts to warm up, it starts to burn all of these oils off the engine, and eventually this smoke will stop. But yeah, it does look quite bad at the minute. It looks as if there's something wrong. You just got to trust the process at the minute, let all those oils burn off, and eventually it will go away. Another concern we had is it is smoking quite a bit from the exhaust, and this raised a huge concern for us. We thought, after the engine top end rebuild, has the head gasket gone again? Is it overheating? Is there oil seals leaking? Something wasn't quite right, but we trusted the process. We ran it up. We kept running it until slowly smoke through the exhaust reduced, but it didn't fully go away. So as it was quite concerning, we did do a block test while we were testing this engine, just to eliminate the fact there was no gases coming into the coolant system. And with the test, we found that it was a negative test. So somewhere along the line, or something else was causing a lot of smoke. Eventually, we came to the conclusion that because this engine had failed previously, coolant and oil had gone through the bores and into the exhaust and dumped it all in the exhaust. So we're thinking now at this stage that there is oil and coolant sitting in the exhaust, and all it takes is a bit of burning off for it to completely clear up. So it's again a trust in the process. We just have to run this for long periods of time at high temperature for all of the coolant and oil residue that's sat in the exhaust to eventually burn off. Guys, so the next thing that we wanted to do is put in gearbox oil into the engine, the gearbox, sorry. So we've done that, and I've just started the car, and I'm going to put it into drive to test if it works. And bingo, the wheels are turning, which means the gearbox is engaged. That's the The other wheel's not turning, but I think it wants to go. But yeah, that means the gearbox is all working. All the work that we've done so far is worked. So let's turn her off. So we've put a good amount of fluid into the gearbox. It's now gone into the torque converter, and it's doing its job, which is positive news. So now that we had run the engine up to temperature a few times, we were satisfied that it was warming up in its static state correctly. So the next thing we needed to do was valve clearances. So Chris came along. He's the one who did the top end rebuild. He came and checked all the valve clearances on this engine just to make sure it is all set up correctly so that we can button it all back up together and then start our road tests. Hell yes, this is the E23 finally moving under its own power. This is a massive achievement for us guys here at ATB. To get this car running after so many years and actually moving, it's just unreal for us to actually witness. Now that the car is in this state, we can finally put the last pieces back together on the car. For example, the bonnet, the headlight that was taken apart, and any other final bits. We can just button it all up. And then we can start our road testing, take it for a run around town, take it on the dual carriageway, just run the car in, run the engine in slowly at low RPMs, and just get it up to temperature and check that everything is working as expected. With builds like this, there will always be issues and teething issues as well. With our E23, we faced a huge issue where it started to overheat. So it was a weird scenario. Around town, it would run perfectly well. So it'd stay at perfect temperature, never overheat. It would run brilliantly around town. As soon as we hit the dual carriageway or the motorway, it will run perfectly for about 6 to 6.5 minutes, where it will sit at halfway. The temperature will sit perfectly at optimum temperature. After 6.5 minutes, and this happened every single time, the temperature will start to increase and go towards the red. This would mean that it was overheating and we would have to pull over and let the engine cool down for a few minutes, where then we can start it back up. It'll be at perfect temperature, and then it will run for 6 to 6.5 minutes as in drive on the motorway, and then slowly start to increase again, and this cycle would repeat. So there was a clear fundamental issue with the E23 and overheating, and we tried multiple things. So we tried removing the thermostat, eliminating it. We tried bleeding the system multiple times again, trying to get out any airlocks. We tested the block again. We did a block test to make sure that it wasn't the head gasket, but we just couldn't find the issue. We also changed the viscous fan from the one that we put in to a one from an E24, but nothing seemed to shake this symptom off. We then decided to check and inspect the radiator. Right, just noticed that when I put, this is at operating temperature by the way, it's completely hot. When I put my hand at the bottom of the radiator, it's cold to touch, completely cold. And at the top, it's properly hot, it's too hot to touch. So potentially the radiator has a clog in it and it's not allowing the coolant to flow through. And that's the only thing we can think of right now that could be the problem. And so we got to work. We took the radiator out and we flushed it and flushed it and flushed it with a jet wash and just kept flushing it. And we found that it was completely clogged up with old oil, old coolant from the previous head gasket fail. And we just had to keep putting the jet wash through it, kept blasting it through, until eventually it was just clear water coming out from the radiator. We then fitted the radiator back to the car, and lo and behold, the engine stopped overheating at high speeds. And this increased the chances of us taking this E23 to the 7Event. And did we take it to the 7Event eventually? Well, check this out.
Out in the street, they call it murder.
Can rock, can put the thugs and can put. Pound up in a van back, it's in a your handbag, your knapsack, it in a your backpack. This melody your girlfriend contact.
Hell yeah, the E23 made it to the 7Event, and it did us proud. It drove there without skipping a beat whatsoever. It cruised along and it drove amazingly. And what a turnout the 7Event was. There were people with 7 Series coming from across the country. There was even one guy who came all the way from Germany to be part of this 7Event. And a lot of these people that came and enjoyed the event were following our journey up until this point, watching us build the E23, put the engine in, get it up and running, see all the challenges that we were facing as well along the way. And then for them to see the car in person here was just a huge achievement for us. We have lots more content on the 7Event, and we have some really cool interviews that we want to show you guys. So be sure to subscribe, be sure to stick that bell notification on, just so you know when we post the next video. And we are so excited to show you some really cool clips and videos about the 7Event, some of the people that we met, and some of the awesome cars that we saw. I just want to say at this point, thank you so much for watching this video, and we hope to see you on the next one.